Hello, beautiful, bright, shiny souls. It's Marte Siebenhar, QHHT Level 2 Practitioner and founder of Quantum Healing Miami. Here to tell you a little bit more about the Freedom from Fear course and also what was the inspiration behind it. So this is the story of how I broke my self-destructive cycles to gain freedom and manifest the life of my dreams. So for me, everything started shifting once I noticed I was really sick of the same recurring cycles and patterns showing up. It just seemed like unproductive, negative stuff that just kept happening. And I felt at that time that it wasn't my fault, but I had to be honest and look at myself and say that I was the through line. And that was a tough moment. But essentially, I have 6 phases that my self-destructive cycles would go through. The first one was like getting all excited, being bright and shiny about a brand new thing, like a job, a relationship, a juicy new idea, or a new time management system, just the latest shiny object that was the answer to everything that I had been struggling with, everything that I'd been waiting for. It seemed like this finally was the thing that was going to make it all better. So that started the honeymoon phase. The second step of that cycle was doing everything I possibly could to be liked and to be valued. And here we're talking more about work and relationships. So I had loved this thing. I can't believe I'm part of it. It's so amazing. I just had so much fun in this idea that like, ooh, I'd made it. And finally, I was living up to something that was worthy of where I wanted to be, but it was all kind of external. And I felt deeply insecure at the same time. So I also overperformed in order to get praise and to feel valued. So that was the second step. The third step in this self-destructive cycle that I noticed was being disappointed. So on this journey, there was some point at which I would notice that this job, relationship, juicy new idea, time management system, whatever it is, didn't really live up to my standard of this is the amazing cure for my life. It felt like it was bait and switch, like, oh, I thought it was this, but it's that. And it was, again, always somebody else's fault. So then it kind of became about blame. Oh, well, they don't get me, or they don't understand, or, you know, they lied to me or whatever. That went into step 4, which is really being angry. Now that I see that this thing isn't living up to my expectations, it's not leaving me room to be who I am. It's not giving me space to add the value I know I can add, to fix what I see is broken. And don't they know that I should be the one helping them and everything. Had a lot of FOMO during that time. And I got angry about it. It's like I felt left out. I felt betrayed to this ideal and this vision, which would lead into number 5. Step 5 was really being kind of stubborn and sticking my heels in, but also giving up hope that things could improve. This is where I went into the mind game of, oh, well, these parts are really bad, but like these parts are okay. And these parts I can live with. But overall, it's just like holding it together and also not budging. So if they're not going to meet me halfway, I'm going to meet them wherever they show me they're ready to meet me halfway. So it's kind of like a sense of stasis and just like maintaining a bad situation. And then step 6 is always ending it. So it's either one of 2 ways, either like I'm done, I'm ready to be finished with this thing, this job, this relationship, this whatever. It doesn't stand any chance of improving, so I'm out. Or thank you so much. It's been great. Bye. We'll be in touch, which of course they never were. So that translates to kind of like a we're over your energy where, you know, doors closed, because it's pretty hard to go through being with somebody who's in that stubborn dug in phase and not notice that and feel that on the other side. So then in a particularly challenging year of mine, my 35th year, I had many of these overlapping cycles that were just imploding, breaking down, and I was so unhappy. At the same time, I thought I should be farther along my career. I thought I should have achieved more, but inside it was like this constant sense of dread and emptiness and trying to keep up with some impossible ideal that I just kept looking for from the outside. So that's when I had the realization that no one's coming to save me and only I can save myself from myself. So I did break the cycles and I did save myself and I did start living the life of my dreams. And all of this stuff that I did to change my life is 7 years of life lessons that are going into the course to make it easier for somebody who maybe doesn't have a roadmap or hasn't put together their own methodology to help them through navigating those moments in life. So I decided I would reinvent myself. If what I was doing previously was not working for me, I could choose to reinvent myself to be the person who was happier, more satisfied, who felt better at work, who felt like they were making a difference. And I decided that if this person is not this person, then I needed to change who this person was to be more like this person. So first thing I did was I went straight to therapy, and bless my therapist, she's amazing. After 3 sessions, she said, "You're the most codependent person I've worked with, and this is not going to work for you. You're not a viable candidate for therapy." And I was like, wow, I just got dumped by a therapist, which was a bit of a hard time. But she did give me an opportunity to be part of a habit breaking course that gave me a lot of great results. And it combined a lot of kind of spiritual and alternative healing methods, as well as methodologies like meditation and journaling. We also did biofeedback. I did self-hypnosis for the first time using a CD. That was really my first exposure to hypnosis. It was a Dr. Brian Weiss CD. It was amazing. It was just about codependency. And then there were other things like brainwave entrainment and other modalities I hadn't heard of. And in 6 weeks, I did feel very differently about my situation. I felt like I had more power. I had a lot more perspective and understanding on choices that I'd made and the results that had come from those choices. I was asked to do a meditation practice every day. And all throughout my life, I've turned to the meditation on Twin Hearts as kind of a lifesaver, as an anchor. And that's been a practice throughout my adult life. So I just did that every day. And I would do that for, I think it's like 23 minutes long, and it's beautiful. You bless the earth with loving kindness. It's amazing. So I really got into the practice, and over time, the practice of that loving kindness meditation really started to do things for me and with me and inside me that have been really amazing. So I'm so grateful for that practice. That also helped me get into a more spiritual practice, a regular spiritual practice that has a form, it has a modality. It's called Arhatic Yoga. So that's the spiritual practice that I practice every day. And it combines a bunch of things. It's amazing. I love it. It's been so grounding for me. The third thing that I did to get on the path to where I am now is exercise. So I committed to the daily practice. And for me, when I'm moving through space, there's something magic that happens where I'm not thinking that much about my body. I'm in my body, but because my body is moving and it's kind of, my body is distracted, my mind can go free. And that's when I started doing a lot of visioning. I did a lot of really thinking what I wanted and imagining what were the thoughts and feelings and the ways of being that could match that. So I was kind of I'm in the present me that's not working out, but I'm reaching for the future me that feels happiness and satisfaction and self-sufficiency and approval from inside and connection with my higher self. And I just used my exercise routine to get in this space of imagination and open-heartedness. And it was amazing. So once I had these frameworks, I had these basic practices, I really started taking time, either during my run, my exercise, my swimming, or right after. I'd come back and I would lean against the kitchen counter and just feel the feelings of this future self, feel like what it felt like to be inside that person. And I'm talking about, what would the future me be feeling? What would the future me be thinking? And I wrote out all the things I wanted to achieve and feel and experience. And I just like, almost like a costume, I became that person for like 2-3 minutes, just breathing and feeling and visualizing and milking it and really getting into it. And it was not something that sounded like it would make sense, but it really, really was very powerful. I also then started to notice, again, all of these things cultivate a sense of inner awareness, because when you're aware of what you don't want, you are aware of what you do want. And having these practices that are really designed to help you just become aware, it's impossible to not notice what's happening inside your mind. So I became a lot closer to my inner narrative and was able to really see what was in there and what was going down, and make some adjustments on purpose to kind of like remodel the architecture of what was in there. Because again, that was part of my previous self, my current / previous self, and it was not in alignment with what the future self would be thinking and feeling and making meaning of. So I then used a lot of affirmations and mantras. I came up with phrases where if I got triggered by something and I knew that I was kind of still in like present / recent previous me, and I wanted to move more toward the future me. And there was this kind of like wobble in the middle where I just felt like, oh, this is uncomfortable because it's not quite here, but it's not quite here. I would use those moments to redirect my thoughts using affirmations and phrases like, you are enough, you are loved, it's not their job to understand you. So whatever the situation was, I developed these responses to help me kind of like pause and reset so that I could be more fully in the present and not just recede back to reaction mode. That helped me like hold my space for myself so that I could move more toward that future self me. And then I did daily spiritual study. I love reading esoteric and mystical documents, and all of this became a part of my daily routine. Learning from people, masters, wise people from the past, and really absorbing the knowledge that had come before became a really powerful way that I could understand I was not the first person on a spiritual journey, on an inner world journey to becoming the person that I came here to be. I learned a lot about karma. I learned a lot about past lives. I learned a lot about energy and how it moves and how it flows, and how our mental energy, emotional energy, spiritual energy, and physical energy all kind of intersect and interact with one another. So what happened when I did all of these steps is that I started to notice that I didn't need to cling to people. I felt stronger. I felt more powerful. I felt more self-sufficient. I felt joyful even. I didn't feel like I needed approval anymore or permission. I was much more present to my own energy because it was coming from the inside out, my own intentions, my own power. I just was more aware. And then I noticed that when I was out and about interacting with people, I was taking up less space because I was afraid there wouldn't be enough space for me. I was also demanding less of others, like demanding that they pay attention to me, like affirming myself into their existence. I allowed them to meet me where they might, which was totally new because I was so like insecure and controlling that space of any sort of ambiguity about how somebody felt about me or about the situation would just send me into this tailspin of like self-defeating thoughts. So I got into a very different space, and it was amazing. I started claiming my own space, and the spaces that mattered to me, the ones that didn't, started to kind of fade away because they were less important. What I valued became more valuable. And so that cleared space for the other stuff to kind of settle or even drop away a little bit. And I did let go of spaces and opportunities that I realized were more aligned with like me needing to be important and me being fearful that there wasn't enough, and that we're not motivated or coming from a place of true alignment between us. I was also trusting myself as powerful enough and perfectly positioned enough to realize everything that I want in life. So not not looking toward the outside or to somebody else to fix it or solve it or save me, but really saying like, I think I have the tools. I know I have the tools. I'm confident that I have the tools to do what I'm here to do. Again, that was a sea change for me. And also letting go of judging others or imposing limitations on who I thought they were. When you're present to your own power, there's no need to kind of like box other people into an identity that you think they should have. And I really started to notice how different that was for me in the way that I was taking up space in my own life. I also started to attract people, opportunities, and situations that started to match this future me. So by being in that space and practicing that energy and really embodying the person that I would like to become, I kind of became her. And the previous things that were coming to me that were heavy or that were out of alignment or where people were devaluing me, that started to go away when I started valuing myself, taking up my own space, coming into my power, and recognizing for me, true power isn't like lording anything over anybody. It's really just embodying yourself and your fullness. And there's a bit of vulnerability with that. So I started to also own a little bit of vulnerability. And that opened up a lot of abundance that I never experienced before. And that sounds crazy, maybe, but something really magic happens when you are not apologizing for who you are. You're not trying to be in the future or correct the past. You're just present, and you just have an energy and a confidence, a consciousness and alignment that you don't have. And I really do believe that brings abundance, because it's the nature of the universe is to be abundant. Also, the people who were not aligned, again, started to drop off the map completely. I had friendships, like mysteriously, people who I'd been in touch with almost every week, like I just didn't hear from them again. And a past me, previous me would have been like, what happened? What did I do wrong? But this was more from a future me place of like trusting and knowing like, oh, I can see now that, we both came together out of fear or out of lack, and it's okay to let it go. So the best thing is, even during COVID, I was sleeping deeply all night. I wasn't trying to change the past. I wasn't worrying about the future. I just was like, if I wake up, I have a little thought, a little worry, something on my mind. This is not the time that is productive for me to solve this. This is not my full perspective. I will look at this again when I wake up and I'm in my full consciousness, my full waking state. And I will see if I have a different perspective. And I just practiced that. And I began to really enjoy my life and really feel gratitude for the first time. That wasn't just like, yeah, I feel grateful, but like, wow, this is amazing. And by taking control of my life and remodeling inside, doing the inner work, I found that I had so much more capacity to care for others because I felt full. So in short, all of these practices that helped me become this future me self, and we're always creating a future me self because we're expansive. That's the nature of the universe, and we're part of the universe. So therefore we are expansive. It's just brought me so much joy to realize that the inner work is what makes me strong. It's what makes me me, and it is what is bringing me toward my self-actualization. So all of these manifestations started to show up in my life. The amazing business, the partner, the cool apartment, a car that I wasn't excited about kind of like literally disappeared and replaced itself with something that I really loved that was very fun to drive. And I randomly started to have intentions come true that I had made years ago. Like, wouldn't it be fun to teach at a university as an adjunct person? And I'm doing this hypnosis work. I really had all of these intentions and thoughts that started to go fast and come into my life in a really powerful way. And I know it's because I took the time to do the inner work to align and to realize that my fears were a part of myself that I needed to conquer in order to welcome joy and fulfillment and abundance and freedom into my life. So I know that we don't necessarily flock toward the inner work, but if you're in a situation like I was, you really can't ignore the inner work when it needs to be done, because it's very clear that that is what's holding you back. So if you're experiencing patterns or breakdowns, or you feel like it's just not going right, I get you, and I've been there, and that's exactly why I created the course. And because I've been doing this 7-year journey, I've kind of like landed into some of these steps and into the framework and methodology that I practice. This is a way of kind of doing the inner work, but allowing yourself to be guided based on all of the mistakes I've made and all of the successes that I've had that are behind the technology of this course. So I think it's going to be really joyful, really fun, and really meaningful. I'm really looking forward to creating it with you. And we only have 3 spots left, so time is running out. It's going to be a super special opportunity to do the inner work in community, guided by me and guided by the processes and the framework that I've created, in addition to the steps that I've shown you here, that I've explained. There are other principles that I've received from my higher guidance, including a framework that is at the heart of the whole course. So I'm really looking forward to sharing it with you and to just seeing you go on your inner work and do your inner journey. We are never alone. It's just helpful to know that there's somebody there when you need it. And so if there is anything about this that is resonating with you, I urge you to check out the course. Email me if you have any questions. You can email hello@quantumhealingmiami.com. And if this is the time, because it hasn't been working, 2022, we start January 4th with our kickoff, and then the course starts January 6th. I hope you'll join me. And this is the last time I'm going to do this in 2022, but I am planning to repeat the course in 2023. But that's a whole year away. So if this is resonating with you and you're interested in taking back your power and moving toward the life and the manifestations that you would like to live, then I urge you to check it out. All right. Let me know if you have any questions. Until then, remember, you're beautiful, you're powerful, you're amazing. I'll see you next time.